Kado Fish Market is a major urban fish distribution hub supplying households, restaurants, and SMEs. Women dominate trade and processing activities, yet operate under high vulnerability due to infrastructure deficit, weak cold chain systems, limited access to affordable finance, and unstable power supply. Today, we shall be discussing with Dr. Stanley Chinonso Undukwe, an expert in fish management and also a consultant on economic issues. He will be telling us more about the fish industry in the country, especially discussing the impact the China tilapia is making in Nigeria. So we'll start the conversation now, listening to a very detailed analysis of the fish industry.
I am Dr. Stanley Chinonso. I'm a minister of the gospel. I'm a researcher in sustainability, and my research is centered on entrepreneurship, enterprise development in Africa generally. And I want you to understand that the fish value chain in Kado Fish Market raises 4 billion naira every month. Every month. It's a huge business. Globally, the fish value chain is about $587 billion. Now, Nigeria as a whole, currently we import fish about $1.2 billion every year. Now we import. Nigeria needs about 3.2 million metric tons of fish to cover up for our 50% of our population. But unfortunately, what we are covering right now is about 10%, because we import about $1.2 billion worth of fish, and it's for the elite, which is a very huge gap, and it's causing current huge malnutrition in Nigeria. I want to give you a little bit breakdown about why fish is important. Fish is about the highest protein food, highest proteinous food. It gives about 39 kg of protein. Apart from spirulina that gives about 49 kg of protein, fish and lamb are the best source of protein. Not only protein, fish is good for minerals like iodine, selenium, minerals like iron, zinc. They are all embedded in fish. Fish helps for cardiovascular health. If you eat fish and live every day for the next 10 years, you will live over 100 years. Fish can prolong your life. Fish is good for the body. It's good for children. It's good for muscle development. It's good for brain development. Most people who don't have cognitive decline like Alzheimer's, like dementia, they never ate fish enough. Those that have, diabetes, because they don't have fish in their body, they don't have the protein that comes from fish. Fish also has what they call omega-3. Omega-3 has what they call EPA and DHA. These are important vital elements in the body system that called like oleic acid that's in fish that helps our body to be strong. So it's an important food, it's an important diet for Africa, for the third world. But unfortunately, you can see in Kado Fish Market, for example, 70% of fish in that market is roasted with firewood. And fish that is roasted with firewood has what we call procyclic aromatic carcinogen, which causes headache, cancer, and erectile dysfunction. Our people are still eating all this. I am telling you, our people are eating dry fish and it's destroying them because it's roasted with firewood.
No,
the government.
Before we go into that, I would like you to actually address this particular issue, because there is that particular segment where we go proper into the smoked fish business. But for now,
yes,
would it be accurate to say that what we call, we see many of us see the Kado Fish Market as an informal market?
Yes.
Is that true?
It's an informal market because it's not properly funded. It's not properly, there is no government public partnership. For example, in 2012, a bag of feed is around 3,200 naira. Today, a bag of feed is 4,200 naira. Today is 42,000 naira a bag of feed for our fish, for those who are doing catfish. Now, let me make it clear. The informal market is the market that is based on systems that are not actually managed. They are not properly regulated. We don't have any feed farm funded by the investors in those cattle markets and by the government or by the FCT. We don't have pond in Jabi Lake funded by the government and those businessmen there. So it's highly informal. There's no professional formal investment in the business. And for you to know, Nigeria imports fish. The tilapia you see in that market is brought in by 5 different countries: Faroe Island, Netherlands, Chile, Russia, and China, and then Morocco. Those imported tilapia, why is it cheaper? Why is it more nutritious? Why is it sweeter? Because they are cultivated in the marine field. Those countries, they will invest in yachts and in canoes and in cage. They will build massive cage that can contain 1 million tilapia, plant it in the ocean, and then they will rear it there. In 6 months, they are huge, and they feed it, so they are better. So that's why you can see they are big, and can they afford them? In that market, a normal size 80,000 naira. That is the salary of a police officer. He can't buy that. The soldier can't buy that. A civil servant can't buy that. So our people are malnourished. They are fish starved because they can't afford such fish.
Okay, but in this particular case, so the real issue here is not necessarily that Nigerians cannot produce this fish, but that the system makes local production uncompetitive. But do you think that is fair? And if it is not, if Nigeria were to stop fish imports today, what would happen within 1 week in market?
Nigeria should not stop fish importation. That's the mistake Buhari did. He stopped rice importation and destroyed the rice value chain. The importation should continue. But what we would do is, let us formalize the market. Let the government stop looking down on all these small ponds. Look at the FCT, for example. Have a conference about the fish rearers, the market rearer, the market seller, and the distributors. Sit down with them and the feed producers. Find out their problems. Discuss with them. Partner with them. Then go to our rivers. We have Gurara in the Niger State. We have the Jabi Lake. We have some river bodies in Kwale and in Babylada. Sit down. Invest in cage fish farming. If we have about 10 million, for example, in FCT, we have an Indian that has the largest pond, and he has refused to share the secret of his own business with other local farmers. Just with those abroad, bring out those universities who are doing research in the fishery industry, learn, research, invest in it, and have massive production of fish. When we are producing more, importers will get tired. The price will, there'll be competition, the price will come down on its own by market force of demand and supply. Okay. Stopping importation will not help the business.
You've mentioned the Chinese fish, you mentioned the Taiwanese fish and the rest of it. But one key aspect you also lay emphasis on, or you emphasized on, was the issue of that the feed to fish to feed this fish are very, very expensive, and power is on steel, including the storage facility. So at what point does this stop being a farmer problem and become a structural economic failure? And could that be the more reason why the Nigerian government seem to allow importation, because it is difficult to fix the system inefficiencies?
The government is trying. The government has done one or two things, because in December, I applied for grant for one of my clients, and she got 5 million to build a solar powered cold room for her post-harvest catfish. At the point where we are now, the government should start investing in post-harvest cold room When you harvest your crayfish, when you can store it for yourself. Government should invest in seedling production, in egg hatching, in hatcheries. Have those investments, support the farmers, support the rearers, those who are doing drying, those who are processing it. Have a system of support that can build it massively so that the market can be more competitive and productive, like they do abroad. Food, fish business should be government business. It shouldn't be allowed to the people. It shouldn't be floated like the currency, like Naira. Government should get involved in the feed production, from the maize production, the bone meal production, and the worm production, because some would call alternative feed for fish, like worms, like housefly, like all these algae. Cultivate them, support the farmers, convert them, use shed to them to feed their fishes. That will help to also increase fish production, and also it reduces the price of fishes in the market. For example, a price of small round catfish is 2,000 naira in the market. How many people can afford it? So government must take initiative. That's why I'm happy with the government, with the blue economy ministry. We have the Ministry of Blue Economy. That ministry is there I have looked at their document. It has what they call 2025 to 2030 projects. It's too long. There should be what they call quarterly and monthly implementation plan that will boost production of fish within the FCT, within the North Central, Northwest, North South, and South South. For example, the South South has a lot of water bodies. We have the Atlantic Ocean in Cross River and in places like Aquaculture. What the government should do is to look at the regional governor, the regional government or the subnational government. Partner, sit down with them, use those water bodies for each state. The FCT can invest their fish production in Benue State. We have water bodies in Benue State, we have water bodies in Lokoja. Invest there in 3-4 months, because each cycle of fish production is 4-5 months. By the 5th month, bring in load of fishes into FCT for consumption and for retail.
Okay.
If you go to Kado Fish Market,
just
if you go to Kado Fish Market, most of the fish there is bought from Ibadan. They rear them in Ibadan. They import from Lagos and bring into the city. Why can't we produce locally in Lokoja, produce in Benue, produce in Akwa locally, and bring it to sell here? This is where the government should take initiative.
Okay, let me just give you an inkling of what actually happened in the 2024 budget. For instance, especially the ones that concerns fishery. Federal College of Freshwater Fisheries Technology got over 10 billion naira to invest in this particular column. And the Federal College of Fisheries and Marine Technology in Lagos got over 16 billion naira to invest in this particular business or in this particular studies. Nigerian Institute of Oceanography and Marine Research got over 20 billion naira, while the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development got over 58 billion naira. But in all this, I discovered that not much, majority of the work seems to be on training and training people that are actually not even there. Because sometimes you discover that after checking this budget, most of the money goes into training and buying one or two particular input for senators or House of Rep members, without actually changing the dynamics in this particular fish business. But now let us talk about the women. Earlier you started raising issues that has to do with women, and I believe this is the time for you to actually tell us more about it. They dominate the trade, especially at the lower hem of the affair of this particular business. Yet they remain highly vulnerable financially and operationally. Why is the backbone of this fish economy also the most expensive or the most exposed? Sorry, and are we under investing in women-led food system?
The truth of the matter is that we have about 12 million members, 11 to 12 million members in our cooperative. 50% to 60% of us are women. 60% of women who are at the lower level of the value chain. They do the drying, they do the retailing, they do the storing, and also they don't have enough funding to even store their fishes well. Most of the fishes you see in the market are not properly stored. They can be very, very poisonous because they don't have dryers where they can store it. They use the firewood to store it and they don't store it properly. They are not properly educated, they are not funded, they don't have the resources to even buy the best quality of fishes or to even rear the fishes themselves. The budget you analyze today is a big problem for the country. Any budget that has no implementation plan is not a budget. It's not enough to give University of Abuja 10 billion to invest in fish farming. You must implement it. There must be a phase where you focus on the implementation to make sure that the money gets to women. Women are the root causes or the root encouragers of business. If you go to markets today, 70% of people in the markets are women. In the informal markets are women. They sell the fishes, they dry them, they even cut it. The frozen ones, they buy them, they return them. So the implementation plan requires that government must have an implementation squad that goes to the pond, that goes to the marine bodies, to the sea, to the river, to ensure that they are rearing the fishes. To ensure that the fishes, the money gets to the women who can invest it back in harvesting the fish, in drying the fish, and in selling it at the right price. The budget must ensure that. Hello? So I can agree with you that women are under budgeted, under serviced, and under looked after on the fish budget in Nigeria.
Well, I'm glad that in your cooperative you're having about 50% or almost 50% women in that cooperative. However, my findings in the field, in the Kado market there, I saw just very, very few amount of them, apart from those that are selling to end users. And dealers, actually, I just saw about 3 women as dealers, which are even medium dealers, not major dealers. But let me raise this particular issue with you again. From what we've observed, issues like storage, which you've mentioned, smoking methods, which you've mentioned, and sanitation very widely. From your basic understanding of public health and economic standpoint, how serious is this issue?
They are real issues. We have done inspection in over 7 different centers. We have inspected our center in Kaduna State. We have inspected our center in Benue, in Apanga, and in Boko. We have inspected our center in Gwagwalada and the one in Kado. The challenge we have is there is no public health certification plan. There is smell of fish. There is no proper drainage facilities. We don't have enough water systems that will help us wash our fishes. And don't forget that the imported fishes, they have preservatives that is not good for health. It's not good for our respiratory system. It's not good for our environment. Even the roasting they do is not good for the system. It's not good for biodiversity. It encourages deforestation because you have to cut the tree, you have to harvest it, you have to dry it, you have to come and burn, roast. So generally, our fish industry is at the primitive stage. There are 3 problems we have. One is we are using primitive technology. Number 2, we are having high cost of inputs. The cost of canoe, the cost of nets, the cost of dryers, the cost of feed, the cost of the chemicals to preserve the fishes, the cost of the vaccine for the fish, they are all very high. Then third, we have what we call labor, human resource poverty. We don't have enough education on how fishes are being reared. If you go to South Korea, they have indoor fish systems that within 6 months you can cultivate and get 2 million fishes. When you have enough fish, the price is low and they can ship to Africa, ship to Europe. But we don't have such human resource, knowledge and training and education. So these 3 problems we have today is affecting our fish production, affecting our families, affecting our women, who are mostly the retailers of fish in Nigeria.
Okay, now let's move to solutions. And for instance, if you do know a policymaker or investor is listening right now, what is the single most impactful intervention they should focus on?
There are 3 impactful ones. One is to have large-scale marine-based cultivation. I have 3 of my clients who came to complain. Their fish ponds, they all lost everything. Because to get the pH level of water for your fish is always hard. But when they are in the marine environment, in a river or in a sea, you don't need to start doing tests for the water. What you need is to get the right feed and feed them. 4 months you harvest, sell, go back. Just that investment, 200 to 300 million investment that will get you a good cage inside the river. We need it. We need marine investment. Number two, we need to invest in what I call comprehensive feed production, where we have from farm to the feed mill. We have a farm that will cultivate the maize, that will cultivate the soya beans, that will cultivate the bones we need to create and to design and produce the feed. Then we'll have the meal itself, the grinding machines, the workers that will grind it, preserve it, file it, and supply to our people. Once we have such comprehensive feed meal production in Africa, in Nigeria, in FCT, feed, the cost will reduce because most of the feed we are using are imported. We import feed for fish. Then the third level that is very, very crucial is for us to have investment in our local farmers. Give them loans, give them grants, supply this thing to them. That then when you supply these funds to them, let them be followed up. That's how they do in the UK. If they give farmers money to invest in fish, in piggery, they'll follow it up until the harvest day, and they follow up to the price of the market. The essence of investing funds in the fish production is to ensure that they sell it at a particular price. These three areas will revolutionize the feed industry and make fish very, very affordable, make it very easy for us to buy it, and also create labor, create a good economy. And within the next 6 seasons, 2 years, we start exporting fish like they're doing in places like Egypt, Morocco, and Chile. So this is the areas that can solve the problem today. And let me tell you, we have 11 million hectares of water bodies in Nigeria, according to research from Niger to Chad to Maiduguri to Bonga and other places. Water bodies that we are not using, that we can put 2, 3, 4 billion in the water bodies, and we have massive fish. Remember, one fish can produce over 10,000 eggs. Fish is the easiest thing to produce. God gave it to us, but we are not using it.
Okay, I just want to come in now because you've mentioned our water bodies of over 11,000 hectares of water bodies, which is very, very significant to actually have a turnover in this fish economy. But then the issue, don't you think climate change has a way of also reducing the efficiency of the labor of farmers? Because I remember during my investigation in the market, in the early 2000 and the rest, they do bring fish from Maiduguri, that's the Chad Basin, down to Abuja. But now we are taking the fish down to those particular places, which could be as a result of probably there was a shrinkage in the Chad Basin, or in other places also they are facing this global warming. Climate change is actually affecting them. So how do they manage themselves in a changing climate? Most the fish.
In my research, I have done a documentary also on the water bodies in Kaduna State. The issue is lakes. Lakes. We have what we call artificial lakes. If you have 50 boreholes, you can refill your lakes, recalibrate the fish system, and load fishes and rear them there. The issue is that there is no proactive, conscientious, comprehensive investment in the fish value chain. Even when there is issue of climate change, droughts or overflooding can affect ponds, can lead to loss of fish, loss of investment. But when we have backup plans, when we have, it's hard to experience that in the Atlantic Ocean. It's hard to experience that in the lake in Imo State, the one they call Oguta Lake. It's hard to experience that in a place like the Jabi Lake. That is artificial. That it can be recalibrated. It can be refilled up and be loaded with fish. The issue is that we as a people, not even the government now, we do not take responsibility as we should. We see governors. There is no governor in Nigeria that has a fish business. No governor. There is no governor in Nigeria that has a fish business. All the taxis governors can say these are fish production plants. These are fish production lake. These are fish production river. So we're not taking an initiative. When we have initiative, let's say every government has like 5 different fish zones. A drought or climate change can destroy all of them now. Do you understand the point? That's why I began by telling you that fish is a compound nutrient for every human being. It's important we know that fish helps life. If we know that it helps life, we'll make it affordable for our people. We'll make it accessible for our people. For example, in Nigeria, we don't even have salmon. We don't have salmon, we don't have mackerel, we don't have these very nutritious fishes. We import most of 80% of what we have is catfish, which shows that our people don't even know the importance of salmon, which has the highest quality of omega-3, which can make you live 90, 100 without having a heart problem, without having heart failure. Are you aware that Nigeria, you have 90,000 deaths in Nigeria because of eating bad fish, catfish, and badly smoked fishes? So what we are saying is that once we have a conscientious and a comprehensive investment, I'm assuring that this fish business will create labor and we can export it, and our people can be able to live longer and enjoy their lives. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So invariably, this conversation makes one thing very clear. Nigeria's fish economy is not failing because of lack of potential. It is struggling because of systemic gaps. Am I correct?
You are, of course.
So closing those gaps would mean stronger livelihoods and better food security, and also a more resilient economy. So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for your insight, and thank you for being part of this one-on-one conversation on the issue of fish.